in the chat, if you could put those in the chat, but also write them down and remember them, because then we'll get into discussion at the end and we can you can ask your questions. So over to you, Alison, to start us off.
Okay, lovely. Thanks, Kirsten. Right. Okay, so I just wanted to obviously share the background to this project with you. I don't think I'm telling you anything that you don't already know for yourselves. This initiative we're going to be running in East Cambridgeshire and South Cambridgeshire district councils. They've received some money through the new Cambridgeshire and Peterborough integrated care system, which has come to them as district councils, and they've now commissioned Cambridgeshire ACRE to support the development of warm hubs. I think it's just fair to say, just touching on those bullet points on the left-hand side about why we think these warm hubs are important. I think what we're thinking is there may be a lot of people this winter who have been managing, they've been doing really well at stretching their money as far as it needs to stretch. But I think there's a real fear that we could have people who are dipping into sort of real poverty for the first time just because of increasing energy bills. And having to think about what they compromise on, or what they actually have to not have in order to be able to keep their homes warm, and we want to do something to try and alleviate that situation. You might have seen the term warm hub bandied about quite a lot. This isn't unique. There are other places in the country that are looking at developing warm hubs, and in fact it is a model that we've used successfully within the ACRE network of organisations similar to Cambridgeshire ACRE across other parts of the country. So, but obviously just to explain what we think a warm hub is, we think warm hubs take place in publicly accessible community buildings. So that might be things like village halls, could be community centres, it could be church buildings, it could be day centres, older people's day centres, for example. Some of these warm hubs are likely to be an extension of activity that's already occurring, and some of them might be completely new activity that's set up specifically for this purpose. That second bullet point there about them being community-led is perhaps the most important for us. These warm hubs are going to be led by volunteers. So although as Cambridgeshire ACRE we're supporting warm hubs, this is very much a community effort. This is about communities helping other people within their community. Each warm hub will be able to decide what it does when it opens and for how long it opens. We're thinking that's probably sort of a minimum of sort of a morning or an afternoon a week, but what we have found is that we're getting contacts from communities who are looking at using a range of buildings within their community to cover sort of the whole span of the week. So one building would open one day, another building would open another day, etc. But I suspect some of that will be led by demand within their community about what's actually required. So in terms of what might go on at a warm hub, we're thinking one of the key things will be providing refreshments, and really that's as simple as just a warm drink and a biscuit or a piece of cake. Some warm hubs might decide to be more adventurous. This is a picture from a warm hub elsewhere in the country from one of our sister organisations, and they do a soup and a roll lunch at their warm hub. We do know of hubs that have gone further and are actually sort of doing proper meals, but it'll be very much up to that'll depend on what building is being used and whether it has those sorts of facilities, and whether the volunteers want that, and whether the people who are coming to the hub think that's a good idea as well. The other aspect obviously is around social activity and the company of others. That's important. Some of the people who come to the warm hubs might not necessarily be in fuel poverty, but they might be feeling quite lonely and isolated at home. And we think that a warm hub offers an opportunity for people to come together and to support each other this winter. The vital bit of that third bullet point there around information and advice is really where you come in. What we're thinking is that we're hoping that partners will support warm hubs by bringing along information and advice to the people who are attending that hub, and that's something we'll go into in a little bit more detail. One of the other things we think hubs will do is also provide access to electricity and to Wi-Fi for the people who come along. We're thinking that there may be people who perhaps are having to give up their home broadband, who perhaps are a little bit worried about charging their sort of electrical, mobile phones, tablets, those kind of things at home, because obviously they drain electricity quite quickly. So we're hoping that the hubs will allow people, or certainly the ones we've spoken to, will allow people to plug in their devices to top them up electricity wise, and also then to use their Wi-Fi to access the many services that these days you have to be online in order to access. So just to say, obviously anyone can attend a warm hub. Obviously we're particularly hoping to reach out to anybody who's potentially in fuel poverty, who's sitting at home in a cold house, lonely and isolated, but anybody could attend. Just in terms of the support that Cambridgeshire ACRE is going to bring to warm hubs, the first thing that we're doing, and in fact, as Kirsten mentioned, we've already had over 40 expressions of interest now. So we're gradually working our way through those, ensuring that the buildings that are being proposed as the homes for the warm hub are suitable for that purpose. Can't call it a warm hub if it's drafty and not at all suitable. We're then going to be supporting the warm hubs to make sure they've got a suitable number of volunteers. We think 3 is probably the minimum number that you'd need to successfully run a hub. And then we're going to be providing a training programme for those volunteers. It's quite light touch training, but we do want to ensure that all hubs are being run to a sort of a base sort of standard that we think is acceptable, and it's obviously safe for not only the volunteers but for the people attending the hubs as well. A big part of this will obviously be ensuring that people in communities know about warm hubs. So there's a big strand of this work that's around marketing and promoting the hubs. And we're bringing in our marketing experts who we work with to support with this work. So there'll be a warm hubs brand. So people can very easily recognise that a warm hub is a suitable, safe space, and that the people who are running it have been through that basic training to ensure it's a safe space to meet. Obviously, a key element of this is funding to help cover the cost of running a warm hub. And that's obviously something that we've had to think about quite carefully, because obviously a lot of community buildings are run by charities, and perhaps I think 95% of community buildings in Cambridgeshire are charitable. So what we need to ensure obviously is that those charities aren't having to pick up the burden of that cost themselves. So we do have some money in our budget to help cover those costs. And that'll help cover things like, their increased heating and lighting costs. And we're also looking at how we can support the hubs with meeting the cost of the refreshments that they'll be giving to the people who come along. As this is sort of the first time we've done this in Cambridgeshire, one of the things that we want to do is obviously collect some feedback from those who take part in the hubs. That's obviously from a volunteering perspective, and also from the people who come along. Have they found the hubs to be a good thing? Because obviously this cost of living crisis isn't going away anytime soon. So, potentially this might be something we need to look at next winter and potentially, winters after that. So we want to evaluate this whole project quite carefully to ensure that we're getting the learning from it, and, we can use that again in future. For all hubs that then go through this process as sort of set out in those bullet points, the key thing is that once they've been through that, they'll be affiliated to our network of warm hubs in East and South Cambridgeshire. So they'll get the right to use that brand, they'll get our continued support. Kirsten introduced the team earlier, so our warm hub coordinators will be available to go out and support the work within the hubs. And they'll also continue to provide ongoing training as the hubs develop. I think one of the things we think, as Kirsten says, this has all been developed very much at pace. So it's a constantly evolving thing at the moment. And I think, there's no doubt that as we begin to put on the first hubs, as the first hubs open their doors, we'll find other things that, the volunteers who are running them need in terms of support and training, so that by us being involved, we'll continue to deliver that as the hubs evolve and get running. This is the bit where you come in. Who else will be involved? Obviously for us, what we're hoping to do is to get as many partners involved who deliver services to communities. And what we're hoping to do is to pull together a menu of different options and things that the warm hub leads, the volunteer leads in those hubs, can pick from. So as their hubs start to be developed and delivered, as they begin to see who comes along and perhaps what the issues are that those people are facing, they'll then be able to pick from this menu of support where they can perhaps either get resources from you that they can then give to the people who are attending their hubs. They can potentially invite you along to come and give presentations or demonstrations, or to talk to the people who are at the hub, or literature, that kind of thing. So obviously the people who you can see on screen today are obviously some of the people who have been invited to take part. But I mean, essentially we've contacted lots of the health and wellbeing services that operate in South Cambridgeshire and East Cambridgeshire, some of the county council services delivered through the integrated care system, and then obviously our voluntary and community sector partners, you know, who do the sort of, you know, the great sort of community level work out there every single day. So really, as Kirsten's mentioned earlier, once I've just got a couple more slides to show you, but once that's done, what we're hoping to do is then enter into a discussion with you, where, you know, we'd like to understand from you how you think that your organisation or you could be involved in supporting warm hubs. So I think very much, you know, what we're hoping that you will get through being involved in warm hubs is that we're going to provide you with reach into communities. I know a lot of you obviously do work in communities, and obviously will have targets around reaching people in different communities with the services you offer. So I think, you know, hopefully through the hubs, we'll provide you with a ready-made audience of people who you can reach out to with the good things that you do. In terms of obviously, you know, what we need from you, we would like you to complete our online form to tell us about what it is that you can offer to the warm hubs, and I'll put a link to that in the chat as we get going. What we'll do then is the details of your offer will be added to our warm hub volunteers handbook, and that'll be a resource that people, warm hub leads, can dip into to see what's on offer, and then obviously to invite you along. One of the things we're still sort of fleshing out is what would be the sort of referral routes for either the warm hub leads to contact you, or whether you want to proactively reach into the warm hubs, and that's something we can discuss. Obviously, one of the key things we will do is, obviously, once you've registered an interest in being, you know, continuing to be involved in this warm hubs project, we'll keep you updated. So as and when we've got, we know exactly where the warm hubs are going to be, we'll be able to tell you some more details about that. We'll have a Facebook page where we'll be promoting the warm hubs, and that Facebook page will then link into the community Facebook pages as well. So that's how we're going to let everybody know what's happening in warm hubs. My final slide is literally just got my contact details on it and Lisa's contact details on it. As we get going with this warm hubs initiatives, will be your two main contacts to begin with. So just obviously I will circulate these slides to you all afterwards, so I just wanted to pop those on there so you had them. So I'm going to stop there and stop sharing, and then we'll take any questions.
Thank you, Alison. It's all very clear, and you got through that in a good short time. A lot of information to take in for everyone. Questions we have got. I know Gavin's on here somewhere. He's already put a comment in the chat about how people will access the hubs, and we have had long conversations about transport and transport in perhaps more rural areas and how people can get along. Gavin, you've put in a very useful list of the current community transport schemes. That will be very useful to us. Okay. And we can definitely, once we know where the hubs are being set up, we can link those in that list to those hubs. So that would be useful. I don't know if you've got anything more you want to say on transport.
Well, can I just clarify with you that these services aren't free, so users have to pay for them?
Yes, we do have some budget to help users pay for the transport. I know these are not free, they're community transport, so we do have some funding to help people attend the hub.
Okay, right, that's helpful. And also, I mean, I know it's sometimes like herding cats, but it's easier if you, well, logistically, if you could, well, say easier, preferably if you could sort of group people together by location and then match them up with the nearest dial-a-ride service, say FACT, who operate in Ely area, Finland area and Huntingdonshire, and Cambridge dial-a-ride equally as well, or the Royston scheme, who have minibuses. So if you give them a list of people to pick up, they will pick them up and take them and reverse.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
So I mean, like I say, it is sometimes logistically difficult, but it is cheaper all round.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it may be possible if people start coming regularly, then we start to know where people are coming from. That's probably more possible at that
Well,
point.
exactly,
isn't it?
because also
Yeah.
the services offer other services in the daytime, like
Yeah.
shopping, trips to medical surgeries and bits and pieces. So it's
Yeah.
not just, yeah.
Yeah. So we have thought about it. It's never easy, particularly I think with this, because we're taking people from their house to perhaps one-off location, but we have thought about it, and we would like to obviously provide transport so there's no barrier to people getting there. Okay, I don't know if I've got in the chat. We've got the expression of interest form. I see you've put that in the chat for anyone that hasn't got that, hasn't completed that. Emma,
Yeah.
will venues be accessible for those with disability? Yes, they are being assessed for that access, and we will be doing that. And as they're usually public buildings, I think you'll find they are okay, but we will do an assessment of that when we're assessing it, because that's part of passing the accreditation, that they can be accessed by all the places that we are using. And Anna, is there an expectation of evening provision of warm hubs? Good question. We've had from the community really quite a lot of good. They've been really thinking about their own communities and what actually is needed. So some are thinking of evenings, some are thinking of after school type time, some are thinking of early morning, some are trying to coordinate across different venues in their community. So I think that all depends on the community and what the community think were needed, and obviously whether it's a larger community with more community buildings than maybe a smaller one with perhaps just one village hall where they perhaps have other things going on there in the evening. So it really will come down to the community, but it is being thought about. It's not just a daytime activity. It can be to suit the community at any time. Will there be a coordinated launch? There will be a launch, not for all of them, because I think they're all going to open at different times, but we'll do more of a splash when the first ones get their doors open. And we will obviously keep the marketing going when each one opens, so everyone knows, and we'll keep everyone informed when and where they open.
I think just to add to that, Kirsten, obviously, you know, we do see the hubs as very much being a sort of a very hyper local thing. So we're anticipating that the people who will come to each hub will be from the immediate surrounding community. So I think for us, it's more about targeting the sort of promotion and marketing of each hub to the community. And that's something that Toby's working with our marketing experts to look at how we get the right messages out to the right parts of the community. So some of that will be through community Facebook pages, but also recognising not everybody's online. There'll be lots of hard copy marketing as well that volunteers will be able to use locally in their communities to get people to come along.
I think we've exhausted. Is anyone going to ask a question? We're quite a lot this afternoon. It's not like the community, we can't hold them back. They're asking so many questions.
Has anybody got any thoughts about sort of, you know, how they could provide services to the hub, whether you've got anything in mind that you think you could usefully offer to a hub, and I guess, you know, whether that's something that you would need hub volunteers to refer people to you on an individual basis, or whether you've got something that you think you could bring to a hub. I'd be sort of interested to understand what people think they might be able to offer. If anybody's got any ideas.
Okay, so I'll go first.
Yeah, thanks, Nick.
I think for our thing, it's about capacity and what we're able to deliver it on the floor, which is in the building itself. I mean, we will be able to provide leaflets, contact numbers, and information and stuff like at a basic level. I mean, I'm happy to discuss any support training for the volunteers that you get in additionally. But we do a lot of energy work at the moment, funding for energy. So we could potentially come down on a plan, not maybe all the time, but on a monthly basis, to do a big energy saving network, which is about discussing carbon monoxide and energy savings and doing a basic presentation to the people that are there on a sort of regular basis. So those are sort of things we could do. I'm trying to think of what else I mean, because you're talking at the moment about East Cams and South Cambs, sorry.
We are,
Yes, yeah, so the district
Do-
areas.
Do we know what's going on in Huntingdon and Fenland with that?
Nothing the same as this at the moment. So
Right,
just because the way this has been funded.
okay. I mean, we are more than happy to provide information. I can get some information probably from Cambridge Citizens Advice as well for the South Cambs
Yes.
area as well. So
Yeah.
and like I said, energy. I mean, energy is going to be the hot topic and what people want to know about and what they can do, and probably little information leaflets and probably contact numbers as well of different organisations for different things as well would be a useful thing, a leaflet to hand out.
Yeah,
That'd be really good.
that sounds great. That's just the sort of thing, so that then people can contact you if they wish individually. Yeah. Gavin?
Well, just very quickly, how, I don't know the nuts and bolts of this, but why aren't Hunts and Fenland? So you've just got East Cambs patch of you and South Cambs.
Yeah, I see Liz, but do you want to answer that, Liz?
Yeah, if I can do. Gavin, South Cambs, East Cambs and Cambridge City all put in a joint bid to the Integrated Care Partnership to actually do to provide a heating and health project. And as a result of us doing that and obtaining this funding, South Cambs and ourselves actually put the contract or the bid together, and Cambridgeshire ACRE won that bid to provide this service in East Cambs and South Cambs. So it's because we decided that we wanted our prevention funding to go towards helping people in this situation, and we felt that this was a very significant way of perhaps providing that help and advice and support at a super local level in each of our districts. So that's why we've gone down this route, because we have procured Cambridge ACRE to undertake this on our behalf. I do think that the other districts will maybe do it, but in a different way. So, you know, I know that Cambridge City were already talking to their community groups. So their community groups were just going to be setting something similar up, and I should imagine that that is pretty much the same. I mean, there are lots of different organizations that are, I mean, I know that the libraries are looking at whether there is a potential for setting up or opening their doors during the day to let people come in. But what we are doing through Cambridgeshire ACRE is actually going for the accredited warm home, so that people know that they've been checked, that we're not getting people coming from a cold home and then sitting for 3 hours in a cold room, in a community room or a church. So, and that's why we want to work very collaboratively with any local groups, local voluntary organisations that come in and actually provide help, advice, you know, local for us. And we as a district council will be supporting these in that we've got our energy efficiency officers. We are also in East Cambs as part of this project are actually funding PEC to do some energy efficiency advice for us, because of the number of queries and advice people are just needing at the time. So Nick greatly receive any support or help of going in and having conversations with residents just to provide them with that help and support. And I think the other thing that's really important is that as community groups, we are just hoping that that this will provide that community spirit as well. So if people do need to get there, we are hoping before anybody even has to contact the community car schemes, that somebody else might have offered somebody a lift to the place if they can provide it. So so that's, Gavin, why Cambridgeshire ACRE aren't providing this in the same way for the other districts, but I'm sure that there will be something that they're working on. It's just that we needed the help and support to make sure it was delivered on time and in the way we wanted it to be delivered in the East Cambs and South Cambs.
Okay, well, if you any of you know of similar schemes in Huntingdon and Fenland, do put my way so I can.
Yeah, we will do. I haven't heard yet, but as Liz says, I think some might emerge over the next weeks.
You
Yeah,
would
and-
hope so, because to misquote Game of Thrones, winter is coming.
Yes, yeah. Yeah.
And I do think that I know from a Cambridgeshire and Peterborough perspective, where any warm hubs are set up, whether that's via Cambridgeshire ACRE, they are going to be trying to map them so people have got a good idea where they are, and also so other agencies can direct people to them if people are actually sitting in cold homes for the whole day and there is somewhere else for them to go and get a warm space.
Okay, thanks.
Rachel, I think, do you want to say where you're from, Rachel? We should, if we can.
Hello, yeah, hi, thanks. So yeah, I'm Rachel. I am from National Energy Foundation. Sorry, it doesn't say on my screen there. So just sort of jumping off the back of this, all the energy crisis going on, everyone, lots of queries, lots of worry and struggle going on. So we're a relatively small charity that specialise in energy advice and helping people with fuel poverty. So hopefully we'll be able to help a lot of people that come and use these warm hubs. Sounds like a really good sort of referral partnership. So we have a free to call helpline and we have leaflets and posters and everything. But like Nick was saying, we also run staff training, happy to like give the volunteers some further advice and some, you know, signposts that maybe they can like see the people that might need more help and aren't, you know, the things to look out for, the indicators. So yeah, we'd love to sort of try and help people as much as possible. We're going to be working all around Cambridgeshire. So sorry, I forgot his name now. Gavin was just saying about if there was something set up in the other areas, like would there be any possibility of making or that might already exist some sort of larger like overview of, okay, well, this isn't in this area, but like more information in other areas, or would we need to go directly to them to find that, you know, if we had people coming to us and we can see, oh, okay, well, we've got a warm hub we can send you to here, but they might be in Fenland. Would we just need to get to them directly, or would there be some bigger network that we could find?
I mean, we'd be happy to collaborate with whoever's set them up. Yeah. But I don't know who that would be yet. Do you, Liz? We don't
No, but as and when we get any advice or we know of where they are. As I've said, the Insight, which is the Cambridge, where they map and model stuff, they want notifying of any hubs. So it doesn't matter whether they're in our district or in Fenland or Hunts, that hopefully there will be a comprehensive map of where any of these hubs are. So people can get directed to them.
I think with our process, what's good, we've asked the community to come through us and affiliate, so we will know where they are and that they're at a certain standard. I suppose in the other places, there's such a community feeling towards this. They might try and start setting their own up and they'll be kind of doing that on their own, and we probably might not know where they are, but we can definitely, as Cambridgeshire ACRE, try and ask people in the other bits whether they are trying to set one up. And who knows, we might be able to come to some agreement with others to how we might work. It's all, as I said, it's rapidly emerging. It's something that's going probably only been going 3 weeks, so we've done very well to where we've got to in that time. But more, this way I wanted to see and speak to you all of you today, because more then comes out where we can work on and evolve it as we go.
Wendy's made a good comment in the chat. Obviously is the Think Communities team at the county council.
Yes,
obviously there's similar people to Wendy in each of the districts.
Yeah, that would be
She's
useful.
got a good base to go and ask some questions for us.
Yeah,
good.
Yeah. Anna, you're
Kirsten. Hazel's been waving her pen around for a while now.
I didn't mean to ignore you.
I think it's difficult to see everyone at once. Really interesting to hear the information from about how it developed, because that's a question I've been asked to ask you. So I've now got the answer to that. I do think that there is a difference, there will be a difference between the rural and the urban schemes. I think Cambridge City will be, though what the end product might be, it will be a very different situation to the villages in some of our rural areas. And that's certainly something that cropped up when we were talking about it. Now, I have to say I'm in a slightly different position to most people, because in Burwell, where I live, which is East Cambs, we have a full-time day centre. Doesn't meet at weekends, sorry, well, normally. But it's a day centre which meets usually for over 55s, but we've certainly made the decision that it would not need to be in that area now. It could be wider, because we have families who we know, or people who are under 55 who we know are going to be in having problems. And we've got our own minibus, and my village has a car scheme. So those sorts of things, the logistics of those for me are not the biggest problem. One of the things that I do think may be a problem in some places is volunteers, unless we are very clear about what we're expecting them to do. Because certainly when I talked about volunteers to the day centre trustees, and the fact that there'd be training, the first thing was training in what? Because of course, a lot of these places have got volunteers already with considerable skills in lots of cases. So I think it would be useful to know how much time you're expecting people to be training for, what sort of training, you know, because just to say training is a bit too wide for me.
So during the,
that,
yeah, I
Alison?
can do. Yeah, during the assessment process, Hazel, we go through that in some detail. So obviously we've got a training syllabus that we can share, and we go through obviously what's expected in terms of different volunteering roles and what the commitment from volunteers would be. So yeah, we're quite clear on that. But I mean, obviously, you know, for us, it is about making sure those hubs are being run to a sort of a consistently high standard. So there will be training in things like, you know, safeguarding and health and safety and conducting risk assessments. You know, we don't want us to set up a whole load of things, ask people, you know, potentially vulnerable people from the community to come in and just having it being done in a completely random way. So yeah, we're trying to sort of apply a consistent standard.
The first training to enable the hub to affiliate and open, we have tried to make light touch. I think we've sort of got it down to 2.5 hours. So it's not a huge undertaking to do that. And then the other training will be just keeping up to date, but optional if volunteers want to go. So far, we don't have people, we haven't had anybody say about volunteers at all, actually. There's more been, this is for our communities, we've got our volunteers here already, sort of already might be in the hall or running it or meeting there. So we haven't had people say about that, which I'm surprised, because I thought people might say, well, we're already doing a lot.
Yes,
take on more, sort of thing.
Because I think it does depend on what your volunteers have been doing.
Yes.
You know, I've got volunteers who are expert at serving tea and coffee and biscuits to people and chatting to them.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. There are various things they actually don't need to know about in any great detail, but the woman who runs our day centre does need to know about our risk assessments and our, you know, other stuff. So it's really, what you've done is more or less answered what I've said. It's horses for courses. It just depends. Because I had volunteers who were saying, I don't want to do hours and hours of training because I've been doing this for the last 20 years, you know, or whatever. So it was just training was a big issue for
I don't think the ones that just serve to speak to the people would need to come on the training. It is more the person responsible for the hub, that volunteer.
Okay.
Anna?
Hi there. I just wanted to fill you in on where libraries are sitting in all this at the moment. And first of all, to say there's a distinction between our sort of full libraries and our community run libraries. The community run ones, which are run by volunteers, may well be putting themselves forward as warm hubs. We don't control them, so you know, we're happy that they're doing their own thing, getting involved if they are. The libraries themselves, because they're staffed by paid staff, it's very unlikely that we'll have, you know, the additional funding to have the capacity to do more than we're actually doing. But what we are doing is what libraries always do, which is offer free Wi-Fi, computers, obviously books, lots of social activities for a range of ages. You know, we're friendly places. Most of our libraries are warm. One or two, I have to admit, are not particularly warm. But we will, where we can, expand the amount of furniture and things that we have in our libraries, so that within our normal opening hours, and my expectation is we won't open sort of additional hours unless we can find volunteers or other groups to do that. But we will hope to have enough furniture and things to accommodate additional people if they wanted to come and use our services. You know, we have work tables where people might want to bring their working from home laptop and that kind of thing. So we'd like to work sort of in conjunction with the warm hubs as an alternative place to go. You know, maybe someone goes to a warm hub 3 days a week, and 2 days a week they come to the library during our open hours. And that's kind of where we're framing ourselves at the moment, unless something changes with funding.
Yeah, that sounds good. We have had the community libraries approach us because they tend to be in community buildings. So I believe we've got some of those already on the list that have approached us.
So they have some lovely facilities. So
yeah, they are good. Do it all multi-purpose sort of buildings.
And potentially also, you know, some where we have capacity, some library staff might be able to come into a hub and explain what the library offer is. And
that would be useful. Yeah. Okay, so that's good with libraries. Do we have any other comments from anyone else, how they think the services could fit? Sue?
Hi there, sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, I mean, as most people I think know, Health Watch, we're more of a listening service, but we'd be more than happy to come along to the hubs because we've got a sort of added interest, I suppose, in knowing how people's health is being affected by the crisis, you know, the heating crisis and electricity crisis and warm homes and everything. Obviously we can signpost as well. We can also promote through our health and care forums what you're doing, that kind of thing, and advertise for you on our social media, that kind of thing. So quite a few ways we could be involved, however you would like us to.
Yeah, I think they're all really, what you've outlined there, Sue, really good ways. And I think for you, we could also help you reach some of perhaps the voices you want to listen to.
Exactly, yeah. A sort of all you know, our aim is to reach all those with inequalities, and so that would be fantastic.
Anna stroke
me, Anya. That's all right. I came along today really just to get a little bit more of an idea of how it, you know, how it's going to be working and stuff. So and I've got a meeting with my manager on Thursday, so I'm going to feed back and see. It'd be really great if we could sort of fit in somewhere with it. But I mean, to give you an idea of what I do and what we do, is I work with our voluntary groups. So we have we have stroke voluntary ran support groups for stroke survivors and their carers, and they meet in different venues. So we've got a group in Peterborough that meets in a coffee shop at the moment because it's a really small new group. I've got a group in just off the 505 in Cambridge, which is a really, really big group that meets in a rugby club. And I've got a new group that's just started in St Ives, which is a small venue that they have to pay for. So they're all different. But what I am aware of is each group only meets once a week. And actually, it'd be really nice for some of them, you know, for them to actually join some of the hubs themselves. So it'd be nice if there's a way where we could contribute or help, but I'm aware that my volunteers, I'm struggling to recruit volunteers myself for a couple of my groups. So it'd be good if we can work with you, and also for some of our members, our clients, to use the hubs on days where they're not, which is why I was asking about, you know, whether, because some of them have disabilities and stuff, but how we could all maybe fit in and contribute as well. So I'm kind of being a sponge today and taking in all these little bits, and my brain's going, oh, could we, you know, and how we could maybe like bring bits together. So So I'll be brainstorming with my line manager on Thursday.
Yeah, that's why we
It'd be
contacted.
great.
We did contact national charities because we know you have a local presence.
Yeah.
And it's good to join up. I think also there's a health prevention, so understanding about the signs of stroke, that kind of thing, could be really useful as well for people.
One of the things I'm trying to work on at the moment with my groups, or not just my groups, but with the members of our groups, is something doesn't have to specifically be just for stroke survivors, for stroke survivors to benefit from it. You know, if you like singing, go join a regular choir. If you like, I don't know, if you like swimming, join a swim group. If you like gardening, join a man shed project. It doesn't have to be specifically for stroke survivors. And this is the same sort of thing. You don't have to, you know, just because you're a stroke survivor doesn't mean you can't go to a warm hub.
Yeah,
just because warm hub isn't for stroke, just for stroke survivors, you can benefit. And actually it's got the social side that a lot of them are suffering from. Still off the back of the pandemic. So so it'd be great if we could you know, if we could do
and
that.
it's embedded in the community, so probably they'd be getting more not within their own community and
exactly that. So hopefully I had that brainstorming session on Thursday and then I'll be back in touch and hopefully
that'd be great.
Hopefully we can do something.
Be really good.
If I can learn how to take my hand down now, I will.
You did well to put it up.
It took me 10 minutes to put it up.
I think Anna's asked the question here. Hang on, let me just. Will warm hubs be providing mental health, wellness advice and activities beyond the important social aspect of the hub? Yes, it will. Again, I think that will be light touch and probably referral, but the volunteers will have some aspect of the training in that, won't they, Alison? We did discuss.
I think there's two things there for me. There's obviously the activities that could be provided in the hubs, and we would be very reliant on service providers coming forward and saying, look, we could offer this to a hub, and then we could put hubs who are interested in that in touch with you to arrange that. But the other thing for us as well that we've thought about with experience from previous projects is obviously the impact on volunteers who perhaps are potentially listening to people who perhaps have got, you know, some quite hard home and family situations, etc. So we have got that in mind, that we might need to support the volunteers who are running the hubs with some sort of mental wellness sort of advice just for themselves, because as I say, we just know that sometimes when you're absorbing all those stories and helping people, it can be quite tough on you as an individual. So yeah, two aspects there for me.
Yeah. Any other? Yeah, that sounds wise to prepare for that. Yeah, I think so. It's very difficult to know what we actually. I think every hub will take a different grouping of people in a different way, maybe in a different community. So you can't really generalise across what will happen across them. Wendy, I think you were next.
Oh, thank you. It was just a thought that was coming to me as we were speaking. It is, and from previous similar kind of, well, not done anything the same, but similar initiatives, is about how people often don't want to go to something where they think they look needy themselves. So I think there's something quite important about how it's pitched, isn't there, and how it's like, you know, everybody welcome, and you don't have to identify as somebody in need in order to be there. Do you know what I mean? I think you've already thought of that, but it just felt so almost so that the advice, yes, it's there, but it's not the first thing people might come for. So it's like something that people can access, and I just think there's something, I don't know, you probably thought this all through more than me, but I can just think for a lot of people I've worked with who would benefit from something like this might not go if they felt it was a bit of a charity thing, kind of thing.
I don't think it's a bit of a charity. I think it's a cup of tea and a biscuit.
Yes,
to your neighbours. If this then comes up and your neighbour might say, "Oh, did you know there's this? Have you tried this?" It's that kind of thing. Rather
absolutely.
It's not professional care services advising people or interrogating people. It's not like that. I don't
no, I agree, and I think everything it's doing is completely right. It's just how we communicate that collectively, so that you know, people come in as a warm, friendly, you know, everybody's in kind of thing.
I mean, someone can come then say nothing and just enjoy sitting there if they want to. I think that's the thing about it.
Can I say that I agree totally with what Wendy said? However, the publicity that's come out so far in the papers they've all said, if you can't afford to pay for your heating, this would be a wonderful place to go, basically. and that does make it sound very needy. So I think that Toby has a crucial role to play here, how to phrase it so it doesn't sound as if you're going because you can't afford to pay for heating, because that is certainly the whole impression that people have got so far, helped by the fact it's called a warm hub. Now, I have to say, warm hub, I think, is a lovely name, because warm can cover a range of things, but it does come over as being energy.
Yeah, I think that was in the early days. It had some press releases that went out that maybe were along those lines.
Yes, it did.
Yeah, but I'm sure that will it'll soon be sort of moved forward.
Well, that's crucial, because if you're starting in October, which is only 2 or 3 weeks away, whatever you're putting out via Toby, or whatever Toby is helping people write to get the message across, will be crucial.
Yeah, it's very important. It is very important, the message and what we do say. Kat?
Hi, I'm a coach with New Horizons and I'm employed by CHS.
Hello.
So hi, again, I'm just here on a fact-finding mission today, so I can't commit to anything. But our project manager is interested. She's on holiday this week, so I'm just trying to find out as much as possible, and then I'll report back to her. And then if she's going to do, follow through, filling in the form and stuff like that, I'm sure she will. So we tend to work with people one-to-one, and we offer coaching. We're a coaching project on money management, and we try to tackle digital exclusion, and we work on employability issues as well, although a lot of people that we work with are really quite far removed from the workplace. They're not generally not ready just to get back into work, so it's not, we're not finding people jobs. It's not really like that. It's working with people who are quite socially excluded and quite far removed from the workplace. And we do cover things like energy and money, and we have referred people to PECT and LEAP and various other organisations as well. We tend to do home visits. And we have done publicity in various places like food banks, which haven't necessarily been very successful. You would think that would, but that hasn't really worked for us, surprisingly. But yeah, I'll just report back everything that everybody has said today. So it's just been really interesting to hear about it and how it's going to come together. But also we can, with our clients and our clients that we see that we're coaching, we can refer people into the hubs, make them aware of the hubs in the local areas. So that'll be really good as well.
Yeah, it's a kind of two-way thing there, but it'd be useful to have you on board. And I think the sort of debt management, financial management, on a one-to-one basis would be useful to some, wouldn't it? Definitely. Yeah.
So Kat, I think it'd be helpful if your manager does fill in the form, if they can just think about how they would want. So if I was a volunteer at a hub, I'm talking to somebody, I establish that perhaps they need that kind of support. How would we make that referral to you? Do you have an online referral form? Do we need to make a phone call? Because I'm just thinking about, we've got to think about things like GDPR issues. So just, can we literally just pass on literature from your organisation to the person, or can we make a referral in? And I think, that is something that the hubs could facilitate. And actually that's more likely to yield results than just handing somebody a leaflet and saying, contact these people. As you've said, with food banks, that doesn't always necessarily work. But if you've got somebody who can act as an intermediary to link the person in need with you, then we might be able to actually get that result that we need.
Yeah, I mean, just briefly, because even at this stage, because things are moving so quickly, I can just answer some of those questions. So people can self-refer. They don't need to be referred by a professional. Anybody can self-refer. We do have an online referral form on the website, on the Money Matters website. There's a link there. We have hard copy forms as well. And what we've done, if we go out to places, sometimes what we can do as part of our introductions is we can set up and do an online referral form there and then with people. But yeah, I'm sure the project manager will put all that on the form. Really,
that sounds great. Thank you.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Do we have any other observations, questions? Some great chat there about some of the ways it might work. I think just working out what we might need and what the referral routes are is probably what we need to do, and it's different for each place and each partner. But hopefully your soundboard, and we can keep you informed as things develop, and then bring your services in. It's a good for us today to get an idea of what is being delivered across the different areas. Do we have any other questions? So the next steps, we will send you a recording of this video, this, so you can share that with anyone else in your colleagues or anyone else in your office. We will send you the expression of interest form. Some people have already registered. If you wish to stay in touch and sort of even just receive information, if you could just fill that in so we know where we are, and then we'll follow up, I think, on an individual basis as we go through. We've had some offers to help. I think some of that information will be useful in the volunteers pack as well. Some of the information for the training will be useful. So we've had some information that you've offered. We've had attendance at various hubs once we get going, and we've had referrals. So I think we've got all routes there to how we might work together, just starting. It is a big job because there's so many organisations and so many different things everyone offers, to pull that together in a short time. Does anyone else have any other points or questions, observations before we go? So I found that useful, and hopefully you did, and you know, and a bit more about the warm hubs now and where they're operating. And yeah, we'll go from there. I think.
Just very quickly, is it one question in regards to Ely in East Cambs? Is the volunteer centre involved as well? VCAEC.
Haven't had a contact from them for setting up a warm hub, but they do car schemes, don't they?
They do, but they also do other projects as well, like gardening and other.
Yeah, they haven't been.
Really?
I think we did send them information, but they haven't been in touch.
Well, they've got a new manager there.
Yes,
Mark Goldsack.
Yeah, he was sent the invitation, so he hasn't responded yet, but we will continue to follow up with people.
Okay.
Yeah,
because I think that'll be useful.
Might poke him with a sharp pencil then.
yeah, I think they'd be useful to be in touch.
Yeah, I think that's actually quite a useful point. Actually, if you are part of any networks, you are on anything else that operates in East Cambridgeshire and South Cambridgeshire, if you could obviously spread the word, if you're talking to anybody, and just get people to contact myself via my details were on the presentation, then yeah, we're always happy to have another conversation with anybody else. So yeah, good. I think Anna's got her hand up.
Oh, Anna.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that Ely Library is planning a sort of cost of living expo, if you like, that sort of library takeover. So there'll be lots of different services coming in with tables to offer advice on a whole range of issues to do with the cost of living crisis. I think it's going to be 27th of October. So
right.
You know, if you make a note of that, you may be in contact already with
I don't think. Yeah,
thank you.
We've had contact. Oh yeah, that's the sort of thing we can also advertise for all of our social media and online things. If you send it to us and to the group, we can also advertise that to the groups as well. But it might be useful for some of the hub members to go along if they were interested. Right, I think we've come to a actual pause there. So thank you very much for coming this afternoon. So I know you're all busy. We will have a catch up. We will keep in touch. If you hear of anything or think of anything else, do get back in touch with us, and we'll keep the lines of communication open now as we move forward. Okay. Well, thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Good to see you all.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.